Well, there it is. Did it again. 22nd time.
Oops, we did it again.
What did we do?
We started Huell's Gold, episode 22, Things That Crawl in the Night.
Which sounds like an Are You Afraid of the Dark sort of title, but not that scary.
No, nothing about this is scary whatsoever, even though Huell starts it off with a pitch black flashlight in the face screen on the cold open. And then spends about a minute and a half explaining why the screen is so dark.
It does look like a car's missing a headlight. Just only one works.
Yeah. But no, it's a grown man standing in water in his shoes.
Right, because his white pants start to...
He's at the beach, and he's letting the water just fill up in his... He's usually wearing like Timberland boots.
Oh, he is. You're right.
It just splashes him everywhere. Which is funny because that's also what happens to the player of our theme this week that you heard, Kevin Richardson. He's playing a trumpet solo in the waves.
Which is really just a no-nonsense, straightforward,
single line melody, no frills
that's it.
Version. At least he's smart enough to have rolled up his pant cuffs there a little bit, and he took his shoes off.
True, he's still got a bit of water in the cuffs, though.
Yeah, but it's dark.
It is. No, it is.
And at this point, Huell and Kevin are the only things crawling in the night. But let's see why we are down in San Pedro. Huell, give us the lowdown.
There were lots of people at the museum on this particular night, because this was the night we would hopefully see for ourselves a unique little silvery fish, a fish found only in Southern California and parts of Mexico, a fish which over the years has caused quite a commotion and captured the imagination of locals all up and down the coast. But before we could actually see the fish, we filed into the museum auditorium and watched a film that explained to us exactly why this fish is so special.
Well, ooh, jinx.
Did you notice that the star on the California outline were once again in the Pacific Ocean?
Yeah. San Pedro definitely is not 60 miles out near Catalina. We are at San Pedro. We're at the Cabrillo Marine Museum. And we're here to talk about a fish. One fish.
What kind of fish?
A grunion fish.
Oh, that's named after Paul Grunion.
Yeah. Paul Grunion, the inventor of Funyuns. So stupid. No, but yeah, we're here checking out the museum, which is actually an aquarium, but that's cool. Whatever. First off the bat, did you notice anything? We're in the aquarium.
Of course, I didn't even notice we were in an aquarium or the Cabrillo Marine Museum because Huell is bringing his fish stick man jacket back, but in a different way.
Yes.
What's he doing?
He finally is up with the times and realizing that 92, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, it's in the swing of grunge. So he tied it around the waist. I mean, he's still dressed like a preppy square, but it's okay.
It's a hybrid.
Yeah.
It looks good.
This is as grungy as he's going to get.
Yeah.
But we're just getting a quick overview of the museum/aquarium because what we're really here for, as you heard, is to learn about the grunion. And Huell intros a documentary. And what did you say about this?
I said it's a meta explanation because you have the documentary playing on California's Gold, and you were listening to it on the podcast of Huell's Gold.
So it's a documentary within a documentary TV show within a documentary podcast. Okay.
It was meta, yeah.
But this podcast is great based on that. No, this documentary in it is the oldest fashioned documentary I've ever seen. like, well, no, not ever seen. Like, I've seen a bunch of these kind of things, but you know what it reminds me of is, did you ever watch The Life Aquatic?
Yeah.
The Wes Anderson movie. Remember they would show like, they had like a few clips of older films that they had, or Steve Zissou had made in that kind of Jacques Cousteau style. Mm-hmm. That's what it gave me the impression of, but with horrible camera work. Well, relatively, because, you know, Wes Anderson, he's using like...
Right, it's ironic.
Very nice looking stuff, and this is just like spotlight on a bunch of fish and their milt. Teach us about the milt. That's what I want to know about.
I know. It's just an alternative name. All I know is we eat at a place called Milt's.
Milt's Cafe, yeah. It's on the north end of town. But one thing that is apparent is that this whole documentary, this whole segment, is really just about mating fish.
Right, but sort of talking around it because children are present.
Yes. Before we get to that part, the documentary also showed, I think it's almost telling maybe something that might happen in the future, because there's that picture of the California secession map. Did you see that?
It's like the only state that matters on the map is California.
Yeah. Everything else is United States or Mexico, and then just California outlined.
Oh, man.
But after Huell gets through the initial part about the documentary, he switches gears and we meet up with Mark Toluto. And he's quite a guy, don't you think?
Oh, boy. For sure. The first thing I was impressed with, did you notice the microphone?
Yes. In fact, it's funny because he's kind of giving almost like a fish sex education talk. Mm-hmm. And the only other time I've seen this mic holder is during my sex education class in junior high. The lady that was giving it had emphysema. Don't smoke, kids, by the way, because then you'll end up having to have this when you're giving your classes. It's like a necklace with a little mic stand just on your chest.
When did the Garth Brooks microphone come out? Around the ear.
It's already had, like, he had that in 92.
What is this then?
Dude,
this is a relic.
San Pedro needs to get more funding for Mark's presentation.
I mean, he has the dancing skills down. He has the jokes down.
Yeah.
Definitely told those a few times.
Did you see the mic almost flew out when he was doing the Grunion dance? Because they're like mocking swimming, and he jumps, oh, and the mic's almost falling out.
He has to grab it, yeah.
What I'm most impressed about is that he got everyone to participate. Usually in these kind of things, there's like a few little kids, and then the grown-ups just stand still and just, I don't want to do it.
No, they're smiling too.
Yeah, they're into it.
And he does get to the awkward stage where he says, "Okay, there's the Milts. Yeah, we'll skip that. There's kids around, so we'll skip that." So
we're thinking that the Milt is maybe part of the act.
I think so.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
There's a couple things in this episode that we're going to have to just leave to interpretation.
Well, the kids understand.
Yeah.
Because when they're shaking the concoction.
Yeah, there's it looks like baby food jars that they filled with grunion eggs and seawater. And they just shook them up. Huell says it was very scientific what they did.
Which I'll take it. I'll take that. I mean,
it wasn't very scientific the way he was moving his body.
No, that's the least coordinated I have ever seen him. He shook his body and left his arms. Oh, man. But there was a kid. Did you notice the kid with the purple hat? Or the purple bill of his hat? Uh-huh. Huell asked him about his mixture there, and he just screams, "I'm a father!"
And Huell, he doesn't... That's the thing. He doesn't laugh. Like, I just would have been busting up at this kid, and he said he's a father.
But then he goes with it.
Yeah.
Because he'll ask the lady he brings her from the back of the crowd. Mm-hmm. And what does he say to her? He says, "Oh, this is the joy of motherhood?" And
then she's just like, "What can I say right now? What can I say?" And she's like, "They look like their father." All right, are we going to bring this up?
Okay. Yes, we will. Do you want to bring it up?
I started it. I guess I got to finish it. Okay, so after they do the egg hatching, there is a little tiny bumper segment or bumper between the two segment parts here where Louis just has a picture of the people kind of migrating outside. It's like a big corridor where everyone's coming. And you know how we do. We always look at the shirts. We're always trying to see what cool clothes people are wearing. And then we see this kid.
So if you have this episode on Chapman's website, if you have this
it's in the description. Right now, click it now.
You go to 7:15. Mm-hmm. If you can, you got to count backwards, unfortunately, on Chapman's site. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Uh-huh. At 7:15, we see this kid walk by. And what do you think the shirt says? Because it's in really big writing.
I know.
But it's sort of...
We slow-moed it 50 times, back and forth. It's not for sure. I'm like 80% sure.
We need external verification to this.
I think it says, shut up, B-word, on his shirt. Which, he looks like he's maybe 13-year-old, just normal-looking kid.
Oh, man.
Big block letters.
I just want to know.
Yeah.
Because you thought you saw a Simpsons shirt.
That's what started it, yeah. I
thought, okay, cool. And we see this, so if anyone agrees with us or disagrees with us, let us know.
But that's really just the start of what turns out to be a very long wait outside. You
know what? I'm going to give Larry credit, though, because he just went with it.
Yeah.
5 minutes. Hey, I'm going to be proven right in about 5 minutes. Just look at your watch.
Yeah. So they go outside to the beach, and this is where they're waiting for the Grunions. And Huell is kind of like, he gets in these modes, like when he did with the Poison Oak guys back up in Northern California. He's like, so it's 9:59, and they flash up 9:59 p.m. up on the corner of the screen, and Huell's like, I think you're going to be pretty embarrassed if these fish don't show up in 10 minutes like you're saying. And he's like, oh, well, you just got to be patient. And Huell's like, okay. And then they come back, and what was it, 10:15?
Yeah.
But, Larry.
But before that, it just had time passes, ellipses.
Larry, it's 10:15. And Larry, well, this is the hardest part, is the waiting. Finally, they come 11 p.m.
Which I was thinking, 11 o'clock. Yeah. So Larry's an hour off. Okay. These kids, what do you think their parents thought? Their bedtime is after 11 o'clock now.
They're probably thinking, shut up, B-word. Because everyone's reading that shirt and thinking, oh, what is this kid doing? But the Grunions come.
Well, a few of them do.
Yeah. It's far fewer than are in that documentary from who knows how long ago. But there are a few. Huell seems pretty impressed, though, don't you know?
Yeah, I think so.
They finally come, and he does a few interviews. There's that lady from Canada.
Yeah.
And she says it's amazing 3 times, I think.
Right, but before her, there's a guy that looks like me as a 5-year-old kid when I was in preschool. The guy who's holding he's holding up the flashlight.
The guy with the blue turquoisey shirt.
Oh yeah, that's what I look like.
You wore glasses like that?
Well, no, but
You had a mustache?
A little bit.
Okay, at 5 years old.
But he also said, he just said, Huell asked him what was going on, and he said, oh, they're going in there having babies.
I mean, he ain't lying.
No, he's not.
But after him, after the Canadian lady, there's another lady who says she's a California girl, and she's wearing like this bright neon jacket. Mm-hmm. Looks like she's a Young Bucks fan or something, but everyone seems pretty into it.
Right, but didn't she describe it as, I've never been here. I'm a California girl.
Yeah, so like most people haven't. Like, that's the whole point of this, is that so few people, and that's what Larry was even like exclaiming, like, it's in our own backyard. You don't have to go miles, which is true. In fact, I mean, this is a natural phenomenon. I'm sure this still happens, but do you remember if they say like when this still happens? If
no, I don't.
Let's look it up. Hold on.
This is amazing.
All right, we're back, and
Totally.
happening all the time.
Like this whole summer.
Yeah, it seems like it happens like, well, they said on the new moon and the full moons.
Right.
So, yeah, it's listed like
Not that I thought
9 times every
nature
month.
took a break or something.
Yeah, I know. But it's funny because even here they're saying 11:50, 1:15 a.m.
Okay.
Like they're specific to the minute, even when Larry was doing all that stuff back then. So, get on out here. The Grunion Run is happening.
What was that?
Grunion Run. Grunion Run is a happening. But that's about it, right? Like, the milt is planted, and yeah.
Well, you don't have to travel many miles to see the Grunion,
No.
but you know what Huell does have to do? He has to travel a few miles to the next destination. So, Huell, let us know where we're going.
Yeah.
Our next adventure started out in broad daylight. In fact, it was early in the morning as we arrived at one of the most spectacular scenic areas in our state. A little-known place in central California called Carrizo Plain Natural Area, a 180,000-acre reserve administered by the Bureau of Land Management and others to preserve the best remaining example of the historic ecosystem of the San Joaquin Valley. Now, I really didn't know what to expect, but I wasn't disappointed. Beautiful wildflowers covering the hillsides, huge mountains off in the distance, and wide-open plains that seemed to go on and on forever. And most importantly, no traffic, no noise, no pollution, no people, just miles and miles of natural beauty. Now, we were visiting Carrizo Plain at the invitation of Moose Peterson, one of our state's best-known wildlife photographers, who wanted to share the beauty of this place with us and also introduce us to an endangered animal, which calls this place home. More on that later. First things first, we arrived at our predetermined meeting point right on time. And I not only met Moose, but also his wife Sharon and their 2 boys, Brent and Jake. And off we all went for a quick orientation tour.
All right. So we're kind of in beautiful Kern County again, no?
Dude, 2 stops back-to-back
Yeah.
episodes? Yeah, we are in Kern County.
We're in the Carrizo Plain Natural Area, which I have never been.
No, I've only passed through it.
Well, passed by it.
But true.
Yeah, because when you're going to the beach, you kind of like, the 2 ways you can go, the 46 or the 166 are on either side of it.
Well, I took the 58, which is the, if you want to barf,
Yeah. Same,
the way
yeah.
you take there.
But this is a cool area. I've heard about it a million times from a bunch of people. It's kind of like one of these hidden jewels in our area. And, you know, I hope to go out there and find a moose.
Well, Huell did.
He did. Moose Peterson. It's funny. I think maybe he's Norm Peterson from Cheers' brother, because he looks just like him.
How do you think this guy became a photographer?
More importantly, how did he get such a nickname like Moose? Because even in the title of his name, it's in quotations.
Yeah.
Moose Peterson.
Maybe his mom called him Moosey.
Because he put moose in his hair, like me? Should I be called Moose now? But spell it M-O-U-S-S.
What'd you use? LA style?
We've already been through this. My mom didn't buy me gel, remember?
Oh, what'd she get you? Suave?
She didn't get me anything. She got herself mousse
Oh.
that I had to use.
Yeah, no, I had gel.
Yeah, I know. It's only $1 for
No
like
big
a
deal.
bucket of it. Anyway, Moose is kind of giving us the first little rundown of this area, which it's funny because this is far from dark. Nothing is crawling in the night yet.
No, it's the opposite, actually.
It's super bright.
The middle of the day.
Yeah. But Moose tells us that this natural area is the last remaining part of our Central California San Joaquin prairie, which Huell doesn't buy right off the bat.
No.
Because he thinks that prairies are supposed to be, well, and then doesn't give an explanation.
But Moose fills it in.
Yeah.
Says, oh, you're expecting tall grass.
Uh-huh.
He's like, yeah. Then Moose gives us a bit of a history lesson. In 1850, this plain looked a lot like the plains you see, the traditional plains.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sort of a modified version.
Modified by European expansion into the North American continent.
Didn't explain how.
Yeah. A lot of most of California is drastically different, based simply on our changing of the environment to suit our agricultural needs.
True. But also, the Europeans gave us a gift, and that is the tumbleweed.
Yeah, which I've heard of this before. I knew that tumbleweed was a non-native species. But you said you thought it was from Australia, I believed you. That sounded right to me too. But
not according to Moose.
Moose says stuff with such conviction that he could totally be lying.
Oh, for sure. And with just his hands on his hips as he says it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's from Europe.
The south part.
Yeah. But Huell doesn't believe it at all until Moose explains that the prickly seeds get caught in the cowhide. Which is what happened. Moose is right. And
as we're walking, though, with Huell and Moose and his family,
mm-hmm.
Moose talks about the blunt-nosed leopard lizard.
Yeah.
And of all the animals that he'll list
mm-hmm.
that are, rare in this area, that's the one Huell attaches to. Because I thought Huell had zoned out, to be honest.
What? Yeah, because he's just listening to the list, but kind of looking off to the side. What's that lizard? And then Moose says, we saw one back at the cars.
I said, well, why didn't you tell me? Sort of.
And then Huell's like, why didn't you tell me? Moose, as soon as I thought of it, he was gone. Sure thing, Moose, hand on the hips again.
Good save.
But they're basically just kind of walking through the prairie, or what Huell doesn't want to believe is prairie. And after we get a tumbleweed lesson, we head to Soda Lake, which
he kept calling it an alkaline lake. I've always known it as Soda Lake, but it's all the same.
Well, the name is Soda Lake.
Mm-hmm.
It's the type of lake it is alkaline.
What are you trying to do to me here?
Not make you sound like a jabroni.
But we did. Looking at the maps and where the mountains are, we surmised that they are on, the east side of the lake?
Like the northeast side?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's where that big salt flat was.
Yeah, that's true.
Which Moose talks about how Soda Lake is really only 2 to 3 feet at any point in the lake. That's how deep it gets. And it disappears for half the year, if not multiple years.
Only comes back when there are good rains.
Yeah, we haven't had good rains, so there's probably no Soda Lake.
What are you talking about, dude? 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's 2 years ago.
Dude, that was a good rain.
Yeah, it was, but we're still not out of drought conditions, according to Miles Musio.
That's the only opinion that matters.
Right. Locals know what I'm talking about. Anyway, did you notice that when Huell is going towards the salt flat, his feet kind of start sinking in? He's like, oh, well, I'm kind of falling in right here. Definitely not terra firma.
Definitely not.
Moose does not seem to be given two hoots about Huell's safety.
And he also had no interest in having sideburns.
No.
Did you notice that?
Yeah. He looks like well, it's funny because you said that other guy looked like 5-year-old you. This looks like 5-year-old me with a mustache, too.
You had no sideburns?
No.
Oh.
When I'm 5?
Well, not sideburns, but,
Oh, yeah, where it's just cut right at the ear.
Just straight. That style is an interesting style.
Yeah.
Is he? No, Huell's running.
He's got a little.
He got a little bit there.
Yeah, I think he keeps it right at the glasses line.
Yeah,
because he's always got the slick shades. And then
now we noticed this.
Yeah,
that Moose, he's a back pocket walker.
Yeah,
and you said you're a back pocket walker.
At times, depends on the pants. They're worn in.
Levi's, Wranglers.
No, just they have to be worn in enough to where it's like
it's comfy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep an eye out on when I'm walking. Like, stay behind me next time. But we're actually moving on to a segment within a segment, and Huell and Moose go and meet up with a new friend over at the Painted Indian Rock. Huell, tell us why we're going there.
Well, we spent most of the morning walking around the lake and walking through the wildflowers. Huge fields of wildflowers, some of the prettiest I've ever seen. And the air crisp and fresh and clean. But our adventure was just beginning, because next we met up with Roy Vanderhook from the Bureau of Land Management, who took us by caravan about 10 miles down a dusty road to this place he said he wanted to show us. It was a huge rock sitting out in the middle of nowhere. Now, even from a distance, this rock caught your eye. You knew it was special. But once we got right up to it, and in fact went inside it, we found out firsthand this rock was a real treasure.
Alrighty, here we go. The Painted Rock.
This sort of loops in with a past episode, right?
Yeah, this is the second time this has been mentioned. If you remember on episode 2, Central Coast, second segment, we are in Pozo.
Mm-hmm. This is after the people get out of the helicopter.
Yeah, this is after the rich bikies show up. One of the historians that brought Huell to Pozo, who he met at the Motel Inn, mentions that just over the ridge is the mysterious Indian Rock. Mm-hmm. And this is what he's referring to. And right now, we're getting a little lowdown on the Indian Rock from Roy Vanderhook. And he's got one of these cool names where it's 3 words in one.
Yeah.
Van de Hoek. Like Ren Hoek. Ren and Stimpy. But he kind of sets the tone for what ends up being this kind of odd whisper segment.
Yeah. And we get this nice, serene, that's amazing.
Because after he says that some of these paintings, and he breaks it down as to why these are pictographs and not petroglyphs, by doing so, he says that pictographs are painted, petroglyphs are carved in the stone itself. He says that some of these are almost 2,000 years old, and that's when Huell. Look.
Just reverence.
And I think the way that we can tell that they're taking this seriously is that Roy calls this... He's from the Bureau of Land Management. That's who's kind of in charge of this area. But he says that this is kind of a church.
Yeah.
And, it is a spiritual place. He's putting kind of a modern spin on the terminology, but he certainly doesn't want to, encroach on interpretation after that. It's almost like he said that, and then he's like, what?
Because we were talking about this. He just takes absolutely no position on anything. Mm-mm. Because we're looking at the Carrizo panel, as they call it.
Which is like the 90-foot long, continuous, multi-century long art piece.
Which is very cool.
Yeah.
And then when he talks about... Well, to me, it was a question that I would ask. Maybe that's why I thought it was interesting that he didn't answer it. Because Huell just says, what does this mean? And he says, well, you're going to need to go... We try not to impose interpretation, and you're going to need to... Well, no, he didn't even say ask Chumash. He just said let them...
He did say you would have to ask them. Not
okay.
Hey, go ask them, because they're not there. But it is kind of like a, archaeological thing to say, like an anthropological thing to say, is they don't want to impose their own interpretations on things like this. It's a really touchy subject, the American academic interpretation of things that are of Native American origin.
And I totally get it. But my question would be, Roy, you ever asked a Chumash what this is?
Seems like that would be his job.
That just seems like an indirect way you could just appeal to authority there. But anyway.
The funniest thing to me about that is that Huell and Roy are deep in spiritual talk. And Roy, if you notice, like we got it stopped on this point because Roy is just like looking back, not even paying attention. Because I remember when we were watching this, his kids are kind of chatting.
No, you Moose.
Who'd I call? Oh yeah,
Roy. Yeah,
Roy. Right.
Moose.
Moose is looking back like past Louis' shoulder because his kids are like gabbing too loud in the background, and he kind of gives him this side eye, like, "You better shut your mouth, kid." And then they kind of shut up after that.
He has that lip, too. We'll post a screenshot of this one. It's good.
It looks like he's just pondering the rock, but no, he's scolding.
And then we have another mini segment, right?
Yeah.
After this deal?
The whole reason why we're here, the crawling in the dark part of this, finally it's going to get dark. Huell, tell us what we're doing.
Well, after spending a wonderful afternoon at Painted Rock, we met up with Dan Williams and Dave Germano from the faculty of Cal State Stanislaus, who were to take us on our final Carrizo Plain adventure. A search for a little animal on the endangered species list that lives on the plain, the kangaroo rat. Now, I'd never even heard of the kangaroo rat before, but I quickly learned they're smart little animals.
Right. So the first thing we noticed here, did you notice he said CSU Stanislaus professors?
Yeah.
My first thought was, what the heck? Why not CSU Bakersfield professors?
Yeah, I know. But it's all about who he can get at the time, I'm sure. And
we
turns out that... Go.
You start.
So, basically, what we got here is Dan and Dave. And what was their full names? You wrote it down.
We got Dan Williams and Dave Germano.
Yeah. They are from CSU Stanislaus.
And both have their PhDs from the University of New Mexico.
You think that's where they met?
I think so.
Yeah.
First handshake happened.
But one of them ended up at maybe a better school, don't you think?
I think so. I think old Dave Germano, he ended up at CSUB.
Cal State Bakersfield, our alma mater.
And apparently, at least according to the website, he is still a professor of biology at CSU Bakersfield.
So are we heading to Science 2 after this?
Science 1.
Is that where the biology is?
Yeah, that's where all the taxidermy
Oh, yeah, because all the taxidermy animals proves
Let's
to
go
you
knock
that
on his
you
office.
care about
Yeah.
animals. All right, well, should we do that now?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Psych. We're still here.
But Dan, I mean, he went to, he's at CSU Stanislaus. That's fine too, I guess. But he's a professor emeritus.
Mm-hmm. And he is the one who kind of gives a breakdown of the area in which these kangaroo rats live. And it's like a shorter grass area, like the shrubbery is kind of low in this area, because he's explaining in these really kind of academic terms that the kangaroo rats kind of chew down the vegetation and create a little meadow for themselves. And then Huell just says, "So they just mow it down?" And Dan just kind of looks at him like, yep, that's kind of what I said. But then he meets up with Dave, and Dave has our California Gold uniform on.
He does. Button-up
flannel shirt, glasses in pocket. He's also got that like special kangaroo rat catching bag on though.
That's what I thought. I thought from this angle he had the bottom 3 buttons undone.
Looks like that.
It was just blowing in the wind.
No. He also has pleated jeans, which, dude, where do you get those?
That's a good question. Well, when we look at Dave over here, he is wearing a tortoise shirt.
That's kind of his specialty, right?
Yeah, his area of expertise is tortoises, at least according to the website.
Yeah. But we kind of time travel or fast forward in time like 7 hours. Finally, it's dark. And they've set these traps out to catch these kangaroo rats, which are endangered species. I think they've since been just designated as not endangered, but
just high risk or
whatever
something like that.
I should look that up. Hold on.
This is amazing.
Okay, we're back, and
not even high risk.
Not even at all. I've never seen this little graph here on Wikipedia. We just looked it up because what else are we going to use? There's like a little graph that shows the different threatened level, and it's now in the least concern level.
So that would be, at least to the goals, or to the goals they had, this would be considered successful, right?
Yeah, totally. But after we get one trapped, we get a little boo-boo. Because they've got these like propane lanterns that they have for light. And once they get the kangaroo rat out of its little trap pouch, they move the lantern over in the shot so they can get light in there. And Huell accidentally bumps it with his hand, and he just instantly pulls his hand back.
My thing is there is no inflection in his voice, because I would have done the
yeah. Because you had head down taking notes when it happened, and I was like, oh wait, rewind, because you don't hear it.
No,
it's not like you hear him. Not like in Joshua Tree when he grabs one and it slices his hand and he freaks out for 15 seconds, but he's more smooth. Professional here. But
it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, there's not much to it. I mean, you got like the kids running around looking at this rat, and it's amazing how docile they are. They're just like holding this fool.
Mm-hmm. Did you notice one of the kids at the end, though? He was wearing some rare uniform. He has his hoodie on, and he has a hat
over the hood.
On the max setting over the top of the hoodie.
Max setting. Yeah.
And that's it. And this is sort of a really quiet, flat outro.
Yeah, they catch the one rat, and then Huell says, "Oh well, we caught 3." But they don't show the other ones. They wasted so much time at the lake. They didn't want to show more rats, I guess. But that's okay. I mean, we get the idea. And they're, Huell's probably like in the way of this scientific experiment that's going on.
The guy mentions that he needs to collect whatever samples or data on 3 or 4 more.
Yeah.
As him and Louie are heading back to Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm. And that's about it. Huell says a bunch of goodbyes. And if you notice that, I think was it Dan?
On the right?
Yeah, on Huell's left. Dave. Okay. Dave is standing there. Huell's got his arm around his shoulder. But then he starts doing some goodbye handshakes.
He does. And if I was Dave, I would have done the same thing because he has his arm on my shoulder. He's obviously being friendly. Mm-hmm. Huell decides to go away from the body.
Yeah. He goes
and go
clockwise.
Counter.
Yeah.
Counterclockwise.
Yeah. Okay.
No, wait. No, you're right. You're clockwise. But away from the body.
Yes. Okay.
Interesting choice. And so Dave has to sit there.
He's left hanging.
Dude, he's left hanging, just his hand out. It's that awkward amount of time, too, where you're not sure if you should put it down or bring it back up.
He made the right choice, though, because he let it go down so that when Huell made his full circle, it looked like, oh, I'm not some dork who's just got my hand up. Oh, there we go. Shake my hand. Thank you, Huell. And then he just walks out of frame. He's all embarrassed.
Oh, man.
But then there's kind of like 3 extra minutes of credits rolling with just Louie got some shots of wildflowers and stuff.
Which is nice. A new font.
A new font with white instead of yellow, which it's really weird to me that they changed the font and the color and the size and the formatting of their like graphic design so much.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Whatever.
Either way, the outro music this week is just some soft, slow, classical guitar. I think that's what we're going to end with, too, because I Shazammed it, and it didn't come up with anything, so that's all I need to know, that it's not copyrighted. So that's kind of it for this week.
Straightforward. Had some gems in there.
Yeah. Crawled in the dark. We did it. And where are we going next week?
We are going to Bodie.
That's right. The ghost town up in Mono County, near Mono Lake and Lee Vining, all that cool northeastern California area.
Which is more of a rare area.
Yeah.
I like it.
But if you know a little bit about the geography of the area, Mono Lake is also an alkaline lake. So he must have got the alkaline bug from Moose, and he thought, oh, Louis, let's go up 395.
Is there a Soda Lake number 2? Yeah. Mono Lake.
Yeah. The bigger, better one. That's a judgment call. I don't know.
Wow. Yeah.
I personally would like Soda Lake. It's in Kern County. That's just me. I'm a local list. What is that? Someone who likes where they're from. Proud of it. Nationalism. That's not good.
Localism?
Yeah, there you go. Good. Yeah.
Well,
that sounds better. But Mono is definitely a funny one. It's fun, and it's also just one single long segment.
Which will be a change of pace.
Yeah. Huell does some long-form interviews this time. But anyway.
All right.
Let's wrap this puppy up.
Let's do it.
So if you're going to come with us next time, do it, to it.
Be ready to search
California's best kept secret, Huell's Gold.